cannot have all your wealth in real estate, all your wealth in art. But I do believe that you can have all your wealth in Bitcoin. And it's just a better way of storing your wealth.
Some people would say you're mad, Lewis.
Well, I think we are really entering into this wealth transformation because the traditional way of storing wealth is outdated, and I call it analog wealth, which is the real estate, the art, the stock market, the bond market. That's not the new wave of wealth. The new wealth is Bitcoin, and we kind of like enter into that period where the wealth is slowly migrated into digital wealth, and I think that's the biggest trend in the next maybe 20, 50 years. And whoever captured that, is going to have tremendous upside. And it's kind of like when you enter into internet age, everything around you become more connected, become more digital. And same thing with wealth. The even more crazy thing is sell all your analog wealth and convert that into digital wealth, which is Bitcoin. And many could not accept that because they have real estate that going to be passed on. There's art going to be passed on. They're not going to sell that stuff, right? But the most rational thing I believe is sell all that stuff and convert that into Bitcoin, because the world we are heading into is going to be more connected digitally, right? And a lot of the wealth that you store in the analog world is going to depreciate against Bitcoin, right? If you pull up the chart, of every single asset class against Bitcoin is kind of like falling, right? And I think that's not a coincidence. It's a nature, because when you have something that's finite and you have something that's infinite, of course, the energy of that infinite thing is going to flow slowly into the finite thing, right? I think there's a great analogy described by Michael Saylor, which, the waterfall, the gravity. The waterfall means like the money flow, right? And you have a lower energy state where is the Bitcoin, and you have high energy state where is the analog wealth. So what we are seeing right now, why Bitcoin is crazy expensive, is that the money flow is flowing from the analog wealth into digital wealth. And it's going to stay there for quite some time in the digital world, right? Because Bitcoin is kind of like forever, but your real estate is not, right? Your real estate is going to depreciate, going to disappear over time. Give it 100 years, give it 200 years, you have renovated, you have to basically protect it, basically maintain it. But in Bitcoin world, it's like you don't have to do that. And which one is superior? So it's a very radical idea, I think, but it's rational, right? It's rational for investors to have already think that the money that we have today is outdated, and we need to go into this Bitcoin world, where the new frontier is at, and that's good that we are kind of like experiencing and actually like looking at it and how it plays out. And for many wealthy families, individuals, they cannot grasp the idea of the digital transformation of wealth. And it's not because they don't get how wealth is created. It's that they are scared. Most people are scared. They're scared that what if Bitcoin is a scam? What if it's a Ponzi scheme? What if it's a bubble? And the wealth they store in Bitcoin going to be destroyed. But actually, is another way around. Is that the wealth that you store in the traditional asset is going to destroy slowly against Bitcoin. And I don't blame them; they don't understand the concept, because so that's why you have the opportunity to truly value the Bitcoin network, the asset, right? Before everyone else. If everyone else understand the true value of Bitcoin, you don't have the opportunity to buy that, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, right? They're gonna buy much higher, and Bitcoin is just will go much higher because very few the real wealth haven't really grasped it. Like they should sell the wealth they store in all kinds of traditional assets into Bitcoin. They don't understand that. So slowly by slowly, the energy is going to flow into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's energy is going to grow um, exponentially over time. And that's what we saw in the past 15 years. You have the hash power, the amount of capital flow into Bitcoin is increasing over time. And that doesn't really stop. It just keep it coming cycle over cycle. And that just by design of the nature of how capital flow. So I think understand that is very, very important. What's the valuation of Bitcoin is truly subjective because some people believe it's zero, right? Some people believe it's 10 million. And I think the interesting opportunity is that because there's a bipolar aspect of that, because there are very, very intelligent people think Bitcoin is going to zero, right? And there are people also very intelligent think Bitcoin is going to 10 million, 100 million, and basically going up forever. And I think as investors, you need to bet on the probability, right? What's the probability of Bitcoin going to zero? I think it's very, very low. And the probability of Bitcoin going to 10 million is probably very high. So I think I wanted to stand on the more optimist side, not be a doomer thinking that Bitcoin is just a scam, a Ponzi. And I think after all the years of studying it, reading all the books, the history of money, and you realize Bitcoin is real, and it's going to transform the entire world. We are living on Bitcoin standard, but most people, 99% of people, are still living on fiat standard.
It's
And
wild, isn't it? It's absolutely
right,
wild.
and they're still talking about how much they invest in real estate, how much they invest in this art. They still brag about it, But that's their thing, right? That's the thing of my father. That's the thing of a lot of like boomer, right? They think real estate is a true store of wealth. They think oil is true store of wealth. They think art is true store of wealth. But my generation, I think, is you have to understand Bitcoin because if you don't understand, you're gonna miss this digital transformation of wealth.
It's absolutely epic. In some ways, Lewis, I meant to touch on this already, come to this problem of essentially store of value from generation to generation, from, having you grown up in Taiwan, I grew up in the UK, like different parts of the world completely, but same problem and solving it in different ways. You mentioned you started investing when you were 12. The kind of lessons that I believe my family were coaching me from a very young age are why I'm so into Bitcoin as an advocate. Because it's like, I think it all lines up to say, actually, this is what the family business should be, not what was happening before. What if it was the case that, in my case, a beer and pub company in the UK, that was my father's side of the business, that has driven a lot of value for over 200 years, what if that is obsolete as a form of intergenerational wealth transfer? What if you don't need to operate a company any longer? What if you don't need to have a real estate portfolio? And what you've just brilliantly laid out is all the reasons why I also completely agree. I think Bitcoin is better. And your phrase, it's radical but rational, that really hammers home. Like, it is absolutely rational. But that's when, as investors, we can get excited because we basically think that 99% of the world is irrational. And that's where the returns can come from.